I'm really excited about today's talk. And again, thank you all for joining us on your lunch break to take a little bit of time to learn about some fantastic information when it comes to Microsoft Planner. I'm really excited about our speaker today. Mr. Robbie Lasik is a personal friend of mine. We've worked together on several low-code solutions and several different project management solutions. And I'm really excited to take today to learn a little bit more about some additional modern collaboration. This is all part of our next level modern collaboration series as part of Improving Thoughts. Now, Rob, without further ado, I will turn it over to you to talk to us about cloud native technologies. Thank you, Rob.
Welcome. Happy to be here with you all this fine fall day. Microsoft solutions for project management have evolved a lot over time. I'm excited to walk you through this latest iteration to see what it can do. First, I want to mention this talk is the anchor leg of an October series on modern collaboration. In case you missed any of the earlier talks in this series, go to improving.com/thoughts/webinars for links to see the videos on YouTube. Lots of great insights and information. Well, let's get started. We'll take a look at the challenges of finding the right project management tool and give you an introduction to the new planner. There's a lot to cover. We'll pause to take questions along the way and have time for discussion at the end. The project management challenge, finding the right tool. When our project management needs are small, we can use a pretty simple approach. Everything you see on the left, I've seen people use for project management in some fashion over the course of my consulting career. And the problem is a lot of times people try to take those tools and do too much with them, and they start to break down and lose their effectiveness. And the reasons for that are usually because they need more. And when we talk about more, it's because things got complex. We're now dealing with a larger group of people. It's not just one or two individuals. It might be a team of dozens. The projects we're trying to manage are just bigger. There's more things going on. There's a lot more moving parts. And when that happens, we usually need to have more structure. So tasks and subtasks and dependencies. The grouping of projects into programs and portfolios, finding a way to organize a collection of projects into a way that makes sense and to get metrics across those groupings. We usually have a lot more details to deal with: budgets, resources, timelines. Mention the reporting. How are we doing on this project? What's our status of it? And then finally, we need more when we need integration. Get this to work with the other things that I work with on a regular basis. As things get more complex, we start to need to evaluate our high-level requirements. Do we need an intake process? Do we need to manage the collection projects by program or portfolio? What are the features do we need to help with planning and execution? What dashboards and reporting do we need? And then finally, how does this all fit into our environment? Requirements, Microsoft has given us a lot of options. And par for the course, they give us a lot of different ways to try and solve the problem with different tools for different levels of complexity, each with their own pros and cons. And if you ask them which is the right one, the answer is it depends. So how do we choose? There are a lot of factors to evaluate in making our decision. First up is volume. How many projects are we dealing with? How often do new ones start? And how many are active at any one time? The grouping we mentioned earlier, do we need to organize this into portfolios and programs and have a common status and progress? The different kinds of projects we need to deal with at once. How many different kinds are there and how much do they vary? And with that, the scale, how big are they? How many tasks do we need to be able to handle? How many people to include and how long do they run? Next thing to look at is migration. A lot of times there will be an existing system where project management was used. Do we need to get all those old projects into the new one, or can we leave them behind? The integration, this is really a key thing. How do we get this to be a seamless part of everybody's work where it's not onerous to go off to the project management system? And then the one that really is the bottom line is how much is this going to cost? Today, we're going to use some of these factors to evaluate this latest evolution of project management tools from Microsoft, the new Planner. The promise of new Planner is to be able to have all of your work management in one place. In contrast to earlier solutions, there's an even greater emphasis on being simple, flexible, and scalable. But a key new feature that sets it apart is the ability to use Copilot to enable AI in the project management process. Let's take a deeper look at the new Planner. To really understand New Planner, it's helpful to review its origin story. It all started in 1984. Classic Microsoft project was a revolutionary product. It was a desktop application, which meant it was file-based. Problem was even when those files were capable of being stored on a network shared drive, collaboration was difficult. Project Server kicked off the new century with more groundbreaking functionality. A centralized project database that enabled multiple people to work on the same copy of a project at the same time. It's a huge advance, but it took a lot of work from the admins to keep it running. In 2011, Microsoft made its first big foray into the cloud, and shortly after, Project Online, or PWA, followed. This is basically Project Server in the sky. So it removed the admin burden and introduced the ability to include SharePoint for project collaboration. This is cool, but it did have a lot of complexity, and by necessity, there were limits. When first introduced, you could only have 3 PWA site collections, and there's a lot of coordination needed to make it all work properly. As time passed, even the new innovations of Project Online began to show their age, and the product was sort of left behind with the advent of modern SharePoint and Microsoft Teams. Now I'm old school. A paper copy of the Chicago Trib still hits my driveway twice a week. But at some point, it's time to move on, and Microsoft felt the same way. Before the Power Platform was developed, cloud applications usually consisted of on-premises products that were lifted and shifted to IaaS VMs, or developer-centric approach that used the new fine-grained Azure building blocks. Neither approach was good at delivering the cost savings that was the main impetus for moving to the cloud. Around 2015, Microsoft started introducing the components that became the Power Platform with the goal of creating an easier way to build cloud-native applications. So now we have a low code, no code solution so that we can bring in power users instead of just developers. Everything's native to Microsoft 365. Key to the whole thing working is that we're working off of one common data model, and that we can then connect to systems that are outside of Microsoft. And the Power Platform was a key element in the next evolution of project management for Microsoft. Microsoft created DPO, or Dynamic Project Operations, as a comprehensive project management solution and as a replacement for Project Online. So it's built from the ground up with Power Platform. It's a collection of model-driven Power Apps. Those Power Apps rely on Dataverse entities that are based on the Project Server database tables from the older product. It uses Power BI reporting, and all of these components can be extended as needed. This is great. It makes a very robust system. And with the deep integration with Dynamics F&O, it marries project management with project accounting, budgeting, and resource management. Going in farther, it integrates with the desktop application for Microsoft Project and does include using SharePoint Online. Downside is it's $120 a user a month. And this makes it a pretty heavyweight product, only suitable for organizations large enough to need that ability to integrate all of those complex project management with their ERP. And this leaves out a large segment of Microsoft's customer base, so they needed an alternative that would have more appeal. And the alternative they came up with was Project for the Web, or P4W. It too is built from the ground up on Power Platform, and it's actually a scaled down version of the DPO product. It includes a suite of Power BI reports, so you can have metrics right out of the box. P4W uses Microsoft Teams and their underlying groups to simplify permissions. And the Teams app puts project management where people are already collaborating and doing their work. While the base product has good all-around functionality, it can be customized to meet your needs by either extending the out-of-the-box Power Apps or building your own. Microsoft used this pattern when they provided the free Project Accelerator add-on, which adds portfolio management, project ingestion, and even more reports. Best of all is the price tag. Normal users are just $10 a month. Project administrators are $30 a month, and there's a $55 a month option that gives seamless integration with the Microsoft Project desktop app if you need it. Let's take a look at how this product bridges the new and old world of Microsoft Project Management. The Project Home Waffle app is designed to provide visibility into your projects, whether they're from old school Project Online or new school P4W. While the underlying infrastructure remains separate, this provides a bridge for organizations well versed in the old world so they can make the transition to the new one. There's even an import process that does a one-time conversion from old to new. So P4W is definitely a lower intensity solution to DPO, but there's still a need for handling even simpler project management needs. While they may not be sophisticated, these tools are inexpensive, most included with your 365 licensing, and super easy to use. They come in two main flavors. Outlook task lists have been around forever and are an easy go-to for individuals trying to get organized. These same task lists are abstracted into the To-Do app to make them easier to access, especially when on the go. The other type is Microsoft Planner, the original. This is a more advanced option that focuses on collaboration. As you might expect, it integrates seamlessly into Microsoft Teams. Pattern after successful products like Trello and Asana, planner plans are easy to use task boards with multiple views and out of the box charts. Planner tasks offer more functionality than Outlook tasks, the ability to set dates, assign people, have conversations, attach files, and more. The project management process can be complicated. Making it easy to use should not be overlooked, which leads us to the new planner. The new planner is really a product of all three approaches. The Microsoft Project family provides that time tested functionality. The structure of the data used to manage projects can be tracked back to this product line. DPO and P4W provide the transition of this functionality into the Power Platform so they can be cloud native. And finally, the productivity tool legacy reinforces that need to keep things cheap and easy to use. Now that we know where it comes from, let's take a closer look at its features and functionality. We can take a quick break for questions.
We did have one question come in here, Rob. We had the question, somebody noted, I've been using P4W for a while. Can I keep using it?
Yeah, and actually, the architecture doesn't just allow for this to happen, it's actually integral to providing opportunities for deeper functionality.
Wonderful. Well, that was the only question we had come in this time. Keep them coming.
All right, let's start our deeper dive. When we want to make a new plan, we can start simple with a basic private plan. From there, we can get more by making it a shared plan that uses the group from Microsoft Team to add more participants. We can also add more by making it a premium plan that includes additional project management functionality. The best part is, regardless of which of these options we choose, we can work with all the plans from within one tool. Let's take a look at the underlying architecture that makes this happen. Much in the way that Microsoft Teams wraps several technologies under one interface, Planner is really a combination of several different independent components. We can access this combo through several Planner interfaces. Plan for Teams, available now. You do need to be using targeted release to get it. There are planned updates for Planner for the web and the mobile app, and I expect them to be available soon. This update's been on the roadmap for the end of 24 for a while now. I would not be surprised to see some of the related announcements at the Ignite conference coming up in a couple of weeks. Also note that by design, the users of Outlook and To-Do can see their private tasks in those tools still. And if you're using P4W, as we just talked about, you can still use that tool to see the premium plans that get created. Let's take a look at those basic plans. Really, this is the same as original Planner. Group and prioritize tasks into buckets, add content to each task, like a full description, checklists, documents. You can have comment streams. You can set start and end dates, assign users, and change statuses. And then you can view these tasks on the board, a grid, or a schedule. The chart view gives us some basic visualizations on the plan and task status. Very powerful option that's easy to use, but sometimes we need more. To handle more, we get the premium features. These are based on the project for the web functionality. Here, the schedule view is replaced by the timeline view, which displays the Gantt chart, highlighting that ability to set up dependent tasks. We also get some new features beyond P4W, views for people, assignments, and goals. But the most prominent feature of the premium plan is the ability to use AI via Copilot to improve our productivity. We use Copilot two different ways. We can use it to help us create new plans, or we can use it to help get useful information from existing plans. We'll take a look at those new features and how they work shortly. New planners intended to be used in concert with Teams, the new digital workplace, although it might not be called new anymore. The main way to do that is with the Left Rail app. This is where you get the full functionality of New Planner, the ability to use the personal productivity tools and create plans of all types. Pretty common practice is to pin this to the left rail for convenience, and you can either do this on your own or more broadly with the Teams app policy. You can also add plans to a channel tab. There's two ways to do this because of the two different types of data we're working with. And this is really a great way to add focused product management where people are already collaborating. If you want to show a basic plan, you will use the Planner Teams app to add it to a channel. And then if you have a premium plan, you use the Project Teams app to add it. The Project app is part of the earlier P4W product, which leads us to another Planner feature. As mentioned earlier, by design, we can still use the P4W as an interface. This allows for a couple of things. Current P4W users don't have to change to using Planner. The customization is done to augment P4W to continue to operate, and you can keep using those, and that's Project Accelerator or other modifications you might have made on your own through Power Platform. This compatibility also applies to reports. Existing out-of-the-box and accelerator reports automatically incorporate the data from premium plans. No changes required. Any custom reports you made against project-related Dataverse entities will continue to work as well, so any prior investment in project reporting is protected. It's a lot of features. Now I should talk about the bottom line. What is this going to cost? Start off with some great news. For most M365 users, the basic features are included for free, as long as they're using the Business Essentials license or higher, including all the enterprise options. If you need the premium features, they start at $10 a user a month, just like the old P4W licensing. This gets you everything but the Copilot features and things more common in larger enterprises. You can live without help from AI. This level might be a good fit, and you only need to get it for the users that need to have those more advanced features. For users that can't wait to use Copilot or need those enterprise features, the price goes up to $30 a month, just $1 a day. Now, note, you can pick and choose who gets these features. Not everyone has to be at this level. Finally, we have the P5 level at $55 a month. This adds even more enterprise functionality for those that really need it. And frankly, we haven't seen a lot of organizations that really need to go at that level. So it's a pretty good story. Great basic functionality for free. Otherwise, pay only for what you need and for those that need it. We'll take a quick break for questions.
Yes. So we've got two questions this time around. The first, does New Planner work when using Teams in a web browser?
Yes, absolutely. And from what I've seen, it's got full parity. And this is a great way if you have to deal with multiple tenants or if you want more real estate. So yeah, both of those will work equally well.
Wonderful. And then the second, you did note about there's a lot of out of box reporting with this and that it is able to report on other elements. Is this something you can do in Power BI or other apps?
Yeah, absolutely. The out of the box reporting we get are actually Power BI reports. So that's sort of the native way that it gets done. You could put any reporting tool against Dataverse and get reports as well, but as you'd expect, Microsoft is using their product to deliver those reports. So the default view when launching from the left rail is My Tasks. This view shows all the tasks assigned to you from any type of plan: basic, premium, private tasks, even flagged emails. And you can filter this screen by using the guys at the top so that you can find things that might otherwise be hidden. Sometimes the different types, if you have a lot of tasks, as I do, you'll need to be able to make it easier to see the things that you're looking for. I want to point out this quick look column. When you do this, you get some extra information about a given task. If there's an attached file, you can view it. If there was a comment stream, you can see the comment stream. And then if there's a checklist assigned to your task, you can see the status of it. Now this one you see I've got, zero of the two things on my checklist done. So you get a little extra information right from this task level. One of the other things you'll see on here is the little sun icon, and that means it's attached to My Day. Let's take a look at the My Day screen. This is a feature that came over from Outlook and To Do that lets you identify tasks that you want to tackle on a particular day. These can be private tasks or those from basic plans. At the top of the screen, you'll see the initial list. I wanted to move the ball forward on my triathlon training plan, so I decided that I need to go to my pinned triathlon plan and move that task to something I want to work on for today. So it's as easy as find the ellipsis menu, click Add to My Day. And then what will happen is then I will see all the things that I have for today and in that quick summary. And if you saw my list of tasks, I had stuff all over the place. If I can focus on one day, that makes things a little bit easier to use. What's cool about this is, as I mentioned earlier, if you're using Outlook or To Do and you do this, the My Day task added in Planner will also show up in Outlook. So you see that in the bottom part of the screen. And there is a feature in the Outlook version of this where they do suggestions, where it's going through to find things that you might want to do today. That hasn't made it over to the Planner version yet, but I expect it coming sometime soon. Let's take another look at a personal productivity tool in New Planner, and that's My Plans. This screen shows all the plans related to me, whether they were private plans, plans shared with me, plans that I pinned, or plans tied to teams that I control. Again, the goal is to make it easy to find your way around all of these. Let's take a look at building a new plan. Templates are the preferred method. Microsoft has come up with a good set of likely candidates, most with basic or premium options. As of now, there are no immediate plans to allow users to create their own custom templates, but you can still use that classic workaround. Develop a model project and use the copy feature. You can also build plans from scratch. Something I would point out on this screen is whenever you pick one of the templates, it'll bring up this sort of template viewer that you see on the right. And from there, you'll see previews of what the basic and premium look like, and you can make your selection and you can scroll through the list to see what's there. And I was on a Ask Me Anything about a month ago for this, and they are actively looking at adding even more templates. And there's a pretty good range right now, but expect this inventory to keep growing as time passes. So that was from a template. We can also create plans from scratch. When you do that, very easy to go from the button. You'll see you can either add a basic or a premium, and you can actually flip between those in the same dialog box very easily. On the left, you'll see I have the checkbox for add to my pin plan, so you can pin it right away. You could do that if it was a premium. And on the premium side, I show you what it looks like to go pick a group that you want to share it with. So again, all four options right from one screen. Very easy to do. Building from scratch is also the starting point if we want to use Copilot to build our premium plan. We start simply clicking the Copilot logo, and then we tell it what we want. I've got a sophomore in high school who wants to start visiting colleges, so I asked Copilot to make me a plan with a very simple prompt. Build a plan for a family trip to visit colleges. Seconds later, it produces a task board full of items and goals for our plan. We'll probably have to make a few adjustments, but it was a super easy way to get started. Now on this screen, you'll see I made the task board, but also goals. So we'll take a closer look at goals. This feature lets us set goals for a project. And for each of those, we can set a deadline and manually pick a status. For each goal, we connect key tasks from our plan, and then we're able to see how we're doing working towards it. This is a great way to create crosscuts that make sure we're keeping the big picture in mind as our plans get populated with tasks and maybe organized in a different way. And what you'll see on the screen is I was able to add tasks. If I had 6 tasks tied to this goal, I can add new ones, I can remove them, I can mark them complete from here. And then you see the deadline that I've set for myself. And then also you can set a status of, do I feel this is on track, behind, or at risk? And then everyone then has a very easy way to see where are we in general. So this is all about people accomplishing tasks to help reach goals. Let's take another people function, the people view. This creates a task board, but it's pivoted to show the tasks assigned to each user. This makes it easier to see what's on everyone's plate. If somebody's overloaded or has bandwidth to take on more. And what you'll see on here is you see I have a whole bunch of unassigned tasks and some assigned to different people. I have a whole lot of stuff. If I needed to, I could go and say, let's give this to Adam. I literally drag it from one and drop it to the other. And just a great way to sort of cross-cut that plan and see it from that personal perspective. Make sure that people don't get overloaded, and that your project moves forward and not being constrained by an individual person. Let's take a look at another view related to people, the assignments view. This view shows tasks grouped by the individual and hours on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis, so you get more clarity on when someone's busy or what adjustments might need to be needed for their workload. So you'll see this project, I see who's spending what time at a different point on this project in each week. I can say, hey, Rob has a lot of stuff going on. Maybe I need to move one of these tasks from him to somebody else who has a lighter load. Just get some great visibility into how your team is going to participate in a given plan over time. So earlier we showed Copilot to create a plan. Let's see how we can use it to get information about a given plan. From the Copilot menu, I select the Understand option. And that pre-fills a prompt that says, give me a status report for this plan. And seconds later, it creates a basic status report we can copy and paste to an email. What a great time saver this can be. At the bottom of that, you'll see a few canned questions to keep going farther with looking more into your plan. And you see other things that can glean for you. In this case, I clicked goals and objectives. It went through that plan and harvested the goals and objectives. And these are just the canned prompts. You can work with it on your own to try to get more information from a plan. For someone who's had to do a lot of status reports for different things, being able to just say, give me a status report off of a plan that's using the actual metrics is fantastic. All right, and now the demo. But first, any questions on what we just covered?
Yeah, we did have one question about how does the new planner work with Azure DevOps? So it sounds like we have some developers on here interested in organizing their work.
Sure. So for those that don't know, Azure DevOps is a tool most commonly used in software development efforts. It really benefits from fine-grained task definition, where the type of projects that you manage in Planner are a bit higher level, sort of more coarser grain kind of things. And so those two things would normally be used independently. You'd have the developers building their code, and then at certain points they'd hit milestones and want to update people who are managing the overall development project. But what's really cool is when we use the P4W Power App, there's actually a way you can integrate these two. There's a sync process where you can configure it so that certain tasks in ADO automatically update Planner plans. Again, as a developer who often gets asked, is it ready yet? This would be a great way to automate that by tying those two tools together. So we're in the Fat Client of Teams right now. As I mentioned, it also works in the browser-based. We're going to go take a look at a premium plan example showing the task board. And right now I have a couple of projects, one cleverly named premium plan example on my research channel. And here you see this plan woven directly into the Teams interface. And you can see the status of all the things that are going on. You get all the different views. One of the ones that we'll take a look at now is goals. And you see the goal of this was to have a bug-free demo. As of now, here's where you could say I wanted to add a different task to it. I could also change the status if for some reason this demo went off the rails. There you can see where goals sort of come in, tying the tasks on the plan below. Very quickly look at this home office renovation. This is actually a basic plan. And you can see, again, this guy works very easily, and you can switch between the different views, see the metrics, and you can add as many of these that apply to a given team. So very easy to take project management, put it right where people are working in Microsoft Teams. Let's go take a look at the full Planner interface. And as we mentioned, you have to go to the left rail of Planner to go do that. And there we go. So from here, we see all of the different tasks I have, and whether they came from premium plans, simple basic plans, from personal task lists. All this stuff shows up, and we have our all view. And then, as I mentioned, I can say, all right, give me just my private tasks. Very simple to go find things assigned to me from different projects, and then even those flagged emails. So very easy to sort through those tasks without having to dive into individual plans to go find them. Now, with all this, another cool tool is on all, or actually any of these. I can say, let me go search for things tied to training, because I have a lot of plans that I work with. And there's our first thing where the plans didn't go. Oop, you know why? Because I was not on my plans. That's why it wasn't working. Now, if I search for my training plans, sure enough, there we go. And then again, through this, I can filter through the plans that other screen was tasks. This is where I can find the different plans by their different types. So I can see the personal plans, pinned, those tied to teams. Nothing is tied to training. And what you saw there, you'll see this other places in the interface. This search guy carries across all this. So we're still looking for things that were called training in my team. So we cleared that filter. We see projects tied to my individual teams. All right, so let's go take a look on my plans, and we're going to go at the public website overhaul. This plan was created using the project management template, the premium version. So right from the collection of things that Microsoft has put together as our templates. I think I can show you the same gist off of this plan. This is also a premium one that I created. This one I actually created with Copilot, and we'll get into that and how we do that very shortly, but I can still show you the same idea. So you start off in grid view, where you can see things that are aligned in tasks and subtasks. And what's cool is before, in that other plan that was done from a Microsoft template that laid everything out, I didn't think of any of those things about project management. It basically set it up for me. This is the same concept done when Copilot came and figured everything out that needed to be accomplished. So from there, you go to our board. And here you can see very easy that it's aligned to the different buckets. I can drag and drop them. You see the goals tied to these guys and the information about it. If you go into any of the tasks, you get information about it. You can set dates. You can show how complete it is. You can add additional items about it. So all the stuff that you'd expect with that. Moving on, we'll go to our timeline view. I'm not sure how well this is going to work because I'm not sure there's a timeline associated with this guy yet, but you can zoom in and out to see monthly basis, weekly. You can click go to date, very easy to go through that. I'm going to see if I can't get back to that other plan because I'm going to show that feature. And that was this guy. All right. So the view I wanted to show you was our task board. And as you see from this guy, I've got a lot of tasks in what's going on here. What's cool is I can say, go find me things tied to creating a document. And now all of that task board is filtered to show just those things that had document mentioned in the title. Now, what's cool about it is I can then, as I flip over to other views, it keeps that filter. So now I see the timeline for just my document tasks or the charts for just my document tasks. And if I want to clear it very easily, hit the X, and then you'll see all the tasks that are related to things. We'll take a quick look at people. And here you see that example where I've got who's assigned what. Now it looks like Adam has a lot of stuff to do. We're going to go give Josh some things, and it really is that easy. Drag and drop it, and now it's Josh's task. We start to even these things out. We'll give him a couple more. So again, a great way to look at this project in terms of people, and then maybe things that haven't been started yet, saying, all right, it's time to define some scope, drag that over to Rob, it belongs in this bucket, and it's done. That's simple. Now you could have done this exact same thing by opening the task and changing the assignment, but frankly, the drag and drop's a lot easier. All right, we'll take a look at assignments, and here you can see what we saw a little bit earlier, where I'm going to shrink these so you can see the tasks assigned and see who's going to be busy doing what during what part of this project. And again, that way you get that great view going forward. So you can say, hey, someone is going to have a lot of work and move it around. And it's another great way to work with that plan and make it effective. Last one to take a look at is goals. And again, this is sort of what we saw before. I can go change this guy to be whatever we need. This is maybe at risk. And I can add a task very easily and go, all right, let's go add training and recognize success to our goal. So very simple to go do. You can change deadline. There's a way to do it right now. It's sort of holding you to that. And it's just sort of a great way to, at a glance, go, here's where we're at. And then you can see the additional detail. All right, let's go look at some Copilot for this plan and see that guy in action. So this guy comes up, we're going to do understand. Again, very basic, and it fills in the prompt, give me a status report. And as promised, all right, so now we have a full breakdown of what, a very easy, I can copy and paste this entire thing and send it off as an email as desired. I can then go find some other things about it, some of these canned things. What's the project about? And what was really cool, and we'll see this when we do the other one, is it really is using all the large language model against all the stuff to really come up with decent answers for what's there. So rarely has there been a project management tool you just ask it questions and where am I at? What am I working on? What's important? That really is a cool feature from Copilot. All right, so we'll go make a new plan. And here again, you get basic or premium. This is how you would start from scratch. If you wanted to go from a template, and again, I did this guy. And once you get to this screen, it'll pick between them. So commercial construction, software development. This will be an interesting one, especially to see how it interplays with DevOps. And then for each of these, most of them will have premium options that give you a little bit of the summary of what's going on, and then you can go create from there. And I'm going to actually go back and start one from scratch so we can see Copilot build me one. So we're going to got a few, this guy here. So I'm going to go create a plan from scratch. It's important, so I want to pin it. I'm going to tie it to my team, and I'll go create. And this is going to give us just a very basic shell of a premium plan. So great. Now I've got a shell, a lot of work to fill in. I don't want to do that on my own. We're going to have Copilot help us. So we're going to go pick the create action, and it says build a plan for, and I'm going to say Microsoft Fabric. And with the wonders of language processing and Copilot, it's going to create a new plan for me. Not only is it going to understand the types of things that would need to be done for implementing Fabric as a data and reporting architecture, but all the tests that go along with that. And again, pretty solid starting point. The best definition I've heard for Copilot is it's the way to avoid that empty screen with a blinking cursor. It's a starting point you can use to get going on something that would otherwise be harder to do on your own. And once it created this plan, I could either go to the boards or the goals. I can also say, hey, you want to add a task for onboarding, and it'll go and do some of those things. And these are just the can prompts. Again, you could add your own, and it's going to say, oh, I don't, you can just tell it, oh, I need buckets for roles. All right, I'm going to say, oh, it was actually a can one. Create buckets for team roles. Again, in seconds, we put together a plan. If we look at our board view, everything's organized. It went and added the buckets I asked for roles. I can then drag and drop these to the appropriate team. I mean, it really is making project management a lot easier to do, a lot more accessible. All right, so we'll take a quick look. You can see our sort of our basic stats, and because we haven't filled in a lot of what's going on, these stats aren't that exciting. But I did want to show you some existing P4W reports and how they're working. So let me go bring up this guy. Before we go there, this is actually Project for the Web interface where I have my college visit trip. So this is a plan I created through Planner, but I'm actually able to view it through Project for the Web. And from here, you'll see all the additional things that are tied to those plans. And if I had custom things built, they would show up here as well. So for right now, we're going to look at the report. I want to update this data because I just created a new plan. I'm going to show you how this report automatically takes this stuff into account. There we go. So we're going to refresh our view on the report just to make sure it's catching that new stuff. And this is actually the Project Accelerator add-on of out-of-the-box report. So this is an install process to produce all of these, and really fantastic start at a lot of different types of project reporting that you can get with no work whatsoever. Now you can also take these and modify them to suit. So if you have certain things that you value more than others, other tabs you want to add, very easy to build off that same thing. You can work off that same data set. But what we'll see here is if I go to Portfolio Dashboard, we go to the bottom, we will indeed see that I have my premium plans that I created from Planner automatically in my P4W reports. All right. So the last thing I want to show is going back to Teams, where I can take my plan, and if I wanted to make my own templates, let's say we're doing a lot of Fabric implementations, I would make one that would be called the model, and from the model, I would pick copy plan. So that's our way to build off of our own templates if they're not going to give us the one straight out of the box. All right. With that, we're going to return to the presentation. So we've gone on a great tour of all the great features of Planner, make it a compelling product. Let's take some time to talk about its limitations. If you're already using Microsoft, Planner's a no-brainer, but if you aren't a Microsoft shop, it's a bit more of an uphill battle. Next thing to realize, this is intended to be a good general solution for most scenarios. It might not meet specific needs. We had one client who got very attached to an old product that they could customize a lot of things, and they decided not to use this because they would have had to customize this general product too much to meet their needs. So it's going to be some of these things where you have to understand what you need and what you can give. And if you can give, you can get a lot of very good stuff for free. It's just a decision has to get made there. Next thing is working with teams. This is fantastic. We work within teams, we put everything wherever it needs to be. The problem is teams is very egalitarian. Owners and members do not have that much of a difference between what they can do in a team. And as it works right now with Planner, owners can create teams and delete them. Members can modify. And that same client had an issue where they did not want members of a team modifying a plan. So that's something to sort of keep in mind. If you're in a group where you have a high level of personal accountability, where people won't be changing things accidentally, and or you want to give that freedom to allow everyone to be able to modify a plan to suit, then it works out great. If that is a problem, then this might not be the right tool for you. Another thing that's tied right to that is the ability to create things very easily on the fly is tied to the ability to create Microsoft 365 groups as a normal user. Now, this is something a lot of organizations turn off for better Teams governance. You'd still be able to attach things to existing teams, but you might have an issue creating projects for and creating a brand new team for a project if that setting is done. Another thing you saw a little bit here and there, I hid most of it in the demo. This is still the first version of a new product. There's still a lot of things that are a work in progress. Certain buttons don't necessarily work. Things don't work exactly the way that you'd think. Some features that you'd expect aren't quite there. This is going to change over time as it matures. Another big one, this is new planner is currently limited to working the default environment. There's no support yet for working with separate dedicated environments, which is something a lot of organizations have done is to isolate users and segregate data. They're still working on it. It took a while with P4W to get from default to dedicated environments, so I expect it on the horizon. If you are a special tenant user, GCC, GCC High, or DoD, they will let you buy a P3 license, but you can't use any of the Copilot stuff that's still on the way. And right now, as we talked about, we only have that Teams interface. And while it's good, I personally enjoy the real estate of the web browser, and I really got hooked on using this on the phone. That was a great thing to be able to do. Both those apps are still there, but right now they are not updated yet to match all the stuff that you can get in Planner for Teams, including all those Copilot features. And on the right, you'll see all the stated limits of what's there. And in most cases, 9,000 tasks per plan should probably be enough. 2,400 active tasks, 200 users. A lot of these things, most project management things will be just fine, but be aware of them. If you have a scenario that goes outside of these limits, Planner might not be for you yet. I do expect, as what usually happens with Microsoft limits, these things to increase over time to the point where it'll fit pretty much everything. The last thing is that, it's an evolving product, still only available in target release. There's other things that we're going to have to resolve as time passes, but I think Microsoft has put a lot of effort into it. And I think it's going to, succeed as it moves forward. And as I mentioned, I would not be surprised to see new announcements about this product at Ignite coming up. So, how does this stack up against the key factors we talked about earlier? Volume. I mean, the limit of plans is, sufficiently high, should be fine. All those filtering tools, you could work with a high project load, a high number of plans, and should be just fine. Creating new things is very easy, especially with Copilot. We have our portfolio and program. Now, those are only when you buy the higher level, need them. You might get some organization by using the way things are arranged by team, and then some of those reports can segregate by team. So you can sort of get the same idea without paying for the higher license levels. The range, we did everything from individual private tasks to premium plans and all the stuff in between. This thing can handle a large variety of project types with ease. The scale, nothing in those set of limits really scared me in terms of can it handle our project management load. The integration. This is really where it shines. This first interface is built for teams. It works right in it, right where people work. The second thing that comes along with that, it's native to the 365. Where most people are doing a lot of their daily work, it lives right there. And we saw the integration with Power BI for reporting and Power Automate for workflows. This thing really ties into our normal productivity environment. For migration, if you had classic planner plans and P4W plans, those move as we saw with no changes whatsoever, no effort. There is a process for importing old Microsoft projects into the new planner, and there's also ways where you can take a basic plan and make it a premium plan. That's some of that tooling that's not quite there yet, but it's on the way. In licensing, all those basic features are essentially free for anyone business essentials and higher. And then you only pay for those premium services when you need them. So I think it does a pretty good job against those factors. And we start to see that value proposition come into focus. Simply put, stellar price performance. You get a lot without a lot of extra cost. Earlier in this thing, we said that there was no silver bullet. There's no one solution for all of it, but for a lot of cases, this new planner comes pretty close. So that you're convinced, how do you get started? It's easy as 1, 2, 3. First, learn more about it. There's a lot of things that's continuously evolving. We have the link here for the official documentation and then the product information. Next, compare with your current solution. If you aren't already using Classic Planner or P4W, measure it against whatever solution you're using right now with those key factors. With that great price performance, there's a pretty good chance Planner can make your life easier and save you money. And finally, start with the free trial. Now, Well, you probably already have the licensing for the basic because it's free. All those premium plan features come with a 1 month trial, so you can kick the tires on this cool new tool.
Yep. So we had a few questions come in. We had somebody ask, can I build my own Power Automate workflows against events in New Planner?
Yes and no. So right now, there are two different stories because we end up with basic plans and premium plans. For basic plans, there's a planner connector that will allow you to work in Power Automate, Power Apps, Logic Apps, all those things very easily. Right now, on the premium plan side, it really is a set of Dataverse level triggers for add, modify, delete on those underlying entities. So it's a little bit more in the weeds, but I expect that to improve as this product matures and more people use premium plans. I would not be surprised to see a premium plan connector for the Power Platform going forward.
And then another question came up about training. Do we find that people have a difficult time transitioning over to these, especially if they're used to using other tools? And does Microsoft provide any training?
Yeah, on that documentation link, you'll see a whole series of stuff on Learn. It's always a transition whenever you're using another tool, but as you'll find with a lot of the Microsoft stuff, they really try to make it easy to use. If I found friction in that area, it's with somebody who is very skilled and adept at a very particular specialized product. They get a little frustrated when you have an interface that's more generalized for general solutions. But yeah, there's a lot of training stuff out there. And again, that'll grow as this gains more traction.
I know you touched on this a little bit in some of the areas on the scalability, but have you seen companies maybe start this at something small and local and be able to pull it up wider to an enterprise level? Is that something that you can do within project or planner, or is that something you have to plan for at the start?
I mean, really, it can be very organic. Usually, we've done several efforts where we have pilot groups where an organization asks us to, help them kick the tires with how this sets up for, a dozen or so people to work with things, and then from there say, great, now we now know how we're going to go use these tools. Are we going to use a stock template? Are we going to use Copilot a certain way? Are we going to build our own templates as models and use the copy? Plan option. And so, yeah, you can start very small and expand from there. That's usually a pretty good way to go. And the hard part, it's the blessing, the curse of Microsoft collaboration tools, continuously improving product. You will get an understanding of how things work now, and then in a month they'll add some cool new features that slightly change the way that it works. Usually it's additive, but sometimes there will be a change in how things operate. So that training may end up being a never-ending story. We have to continuously keeping up with the new things that they put out there. But especially things like that Copilot, that is just a huge move forward from any of the other tools that you might be able to use of letting AI do a lot of that heavy lifting for you. Last thing, just to make a quick plug, because there's another great series out there. If you go to Improving Thoughts webinars, you'll see Tomorrow Technology Today. Lots of really cool talks of things to do, and take a look. I think you'll find something interesting there. Otherwise, thanks for your time and have a great rest of your day.
Exactly. Well, Rob, thank you so much for sharing your expertise in this. I know selfishly, I've worked with you personally on this a number of times, and we're working on a fantastic internal use case now. So I can't wait to see this continue to grow. And I'm glad you put your contact information up here. I would encourage anybody looking to explore this solution or other high configurable low code solutions for project management to reach out to Rob for details. He is an excellent resource. I want to thank all of our attendees today for coming as well. I know it's a busy week, especially midweek, so I appreciate everyone joining us for lunch. As Rob mentioned, we are still running our Tomorrow Technology Today webinar series with next week's presentation on October 29th being the real-time data done right. And that'll be hosted by Stephen Anderson. Thank you all for joining. Don't forget to check out improving.com/thoughts for more details, and we'll see you again next week. Have a great day.